Alright, hello and welcome back to Arma Free. As you can see, I am sitting in the 2-Wave Strike Regiment server, my clan. And today, what we're going to be talking about is Zeus. Basically, I want to make an introduction for players who don't really understand Zeus, players who want to learn Zeus, and make a thorough guide of everything Zeus related. And since I accumulated a lot of experience playing with my clan on this server and making a lot of missions, I want to share that experience, hopefully over a couple of different episodes. And so we go into the Zeus module. Now, of course, in order to get to do that, you will have to set up a map where you have the Zeus module. I will not go over this technical side of things. I hope that you can manage through other places in the web. And before I go into the tutorial itself, I would like to point out that I am using a couple of things on this server. Currently, the server runs CBA, of course, CBA A3, which is the mod that allows us to run a lot of other mods. We're running ACE free, which is the advanced combat environment, a very basic mod that allows you to do a lot of things and enhances a lot of things like medical system and the likes, give you an interaction menu and all that. And we're also running Task Force Radio, which currently is not in use, but a lot of times you are seeing this. Now, for my role as a Zeus operator, I'm also running two very important mods that are pretty much the staple of every Zeus user these days. The first mod is the Achilles expansion of the Ares mod. The Ares mod was pretty much created by a guy called Anton Struik. And it was expanded on by a guy calling himself Kex, and these guys pretty much made the modules menu in Zeus, which is the one to the top right here, pretty much expanded. Everything that has this icon next to it, be it the white icon which represents the old Ares mod, be it the red icon which represents the new Achilles mod, those things have been added by them. As you can see, other things have been added by Ace as well. So we have a lot of options and a lot of more abilities to control the Zeus environment because of these mods. Second thing I want to point out is the ZEC mod created by a guy called LSD. And this guy created a lot of compositions for Zeus. Compositions are pretty much the ability to lay out an already pre-made thing, like for example a fuel depot of Blue 4, bam, already pre-made by this guy, and he made a lot of these stuff and made a really good work. So I want to point out these guys first of all before we begin. These are the mods I use when I make missions, and they're pretty much staple, so I recommend everybody to go and get those. Links will be in the description. So how do we start with Zeus, pretty much? So when you press the Y key, which is the default Zeus key, you go into the Zeus environment. Now sometimes there is a lot of lag in doing this. It really depends on your machine and on the server, and it really depends on the map as well. You'll find out that if you have watched any recordings of me doing Zeus in Takistan environment, for example, every time I go into Zeus, the game lags out a bit, and Task Force kind of goes back and forth trying to move you channels because of it. So it might lag. You need a stronger machine to run Zeus than the one to run normal Arma. So you have to kind of know that pre-made. Now, once you press Y, you will get to this screen, which is pretty much an observer screen that you can move in using, you can look around using the right mouse button. You can move using the WASD arrows, of course. You can move around. If you want to move faster, you can hold the shift button and then you kind of sprint around the screen like I'm doing right now. You can move up and down using the Q and Z buttons. And that's pretty much all you need to know about movement. Now, my cat is just going in front of my screen. Thank you, cat. This is part of the tutorial now. But anyway, apart from the movement here that you can easily control and kind of go in close and look at anything you really want, you have a pretty much thorough HUD here. You have your compass at the top, you have the time, which if both of these can be set as normal keys in Arma. The watch time in Arma is O, so I can open and close that. The compass key is K, which I can open and close that thing. If I press backspace, the entire HUD will disappear. I'll ignore this kind of pipe close by TS, that's the task force radio message, but you'll be left only with this Zeus eye in the corner. You'll be able to even take some nice pictures like that and scroll around, especially if you're recording or streaming. That is pretty nice. And on the left side you'll have a menu called Edit. You can open and close it if you wish to display or not. The Edit menu will pretty much contain anything that has been placed, anything that you can control. And currently it shows me as the player, and it shows a couple of vehicles. It doesn't show everything else that is placed here. First of all, because a lot of the assets that we can see right now are assets that are the map itself, and we won't be able to control them the same way that we can control assets that have been placed. And the other assets here are assets that I placed on the map when I created it, which pretty much we can actually use this function, add remove editable objects to Zeus, to actually add these objects back to my control. So now I can actually move this fence if I want, or I can't, but maybe I can delete it. There you go. I think it's not simulated, that's why I can't move it, but I can definitely control it in more ways and see it. And of course I can hide it back again if I want. I can remove this thing, and we won't be able to see it anymore. And as you can see, the edit menu adds these things as we add them, or removes them in sync. Now the right side menu is of course the most interesting thing in Zeus, and that's what we're going to go over soon. First of all, I want to show you a couple of neat functions to do with your movement and the overall lookout of Zeus. First of all, you can open your map in Zeus mode. You see different things when you go into the map in Zeus mode. This is of course the radio menu that we use, but apart from that you will pretty much see everything placed. For example, if there is a group of enemies here that normal people won't be able to see in their map, you will be able to see them from this view. So this is a Zeus map. You won't be able to see most of the markings of the map. For example, lines, for some reason you can't see lines made even if they're made on side. But for some reason points you can't see. I don't know, it's kind of weird like that. So don't expect to see everything the player mark, because you won't be able to. What you can do here is press the T button in order to change the textures of the map. You can do that as a player with a button as well. So here in Zeus, if you want the map to go a bit more clear like that and to show the lines and the kind of inclinations, then you can do that. And most important thing that I can show you here, which took me a really long time to find out myself, if you click the middle mouse button on the map, you will teleport the camera, the observer camera. You can move it around like this. So I don't really have to kind of go and start running toward a place and try and find where the hell is it. I can just open my map, see what's happening in here. I can immediately scroll to this town and go at it. Now, of course, another function that you have is to save locations. For example, if I want this location to be a point of interest for me, I can hold Control and press F1 or any of the F keys, and then I can do whatever I want. And I know something is happening in the town, or I want to take a look. I press F1 and it teleports me immediately to this location. I don't use it a lot, but some people remember those functions and it's really easy for them. So if you're setting up a mission for yourself, it's easy to save these key locations in a pretty much good view for yourself, and just bam, you're there. Usually I use, of course, the teleport the camera function like this, and it's pretty enough for me. Alright, so let's go over this create menu, which is really, really important. As you can see, there's also spawn attributes at the bottom added by the Achilles function. We'll get to that, but I just want to go menu by menu with you guys and actually show you what everything does before we get into the mission making process. So let's start with the units menu. The units menu is pretty much responsible for spawning single things, be it special, specific guys. For example, if I want NATO men, I can get all the normal NATO men here. I can spawn me an officer. I can spawn me a specific, for example, pilot or a helicopter pilot if I want. All the way up to if I want to spawn a tank, for example, one tank, I can spawn a tank here. This bottom menu allows me to either not include the crew of the vehicle I spawn and specify location. I want to show you something that it's really useful. Ever since the carrier was added, it's been really difficult for Zeus operators to try and maneuver that thing. Adding the carrier to the game right now using one of the Achilles functions. And if I try to place a plane on it, for example, I want to place an empty plane, right? So I remove the include crew. I go to planes. I want to place a black wasp 2 on it. So I just try and do it, and the black wasp spawns at the bottom of the ocean and is destroyed. And if I try to change its height, I can see it is flying down, burning. All right, so how to go over that thing? I use the function that Achilles so kindly has included, specify location. So I click that, I put my black wasp in, and then it says on the top move spawn position, and then press enter. So this is not yet fixed. I can move it, which I will show you how to later on, and I can place it exactly where I want. Let's say I want it here in this kind of setup area. Before I press the enter key, and the bird is placed, and now it's not dead, it's not falling, it's just ready for movement, which is pretty great. So this is the small menu at the bottom, include crew and specify location. Of course, you can use the empty menu to place empty stuff in the first place, but a lot of people find it easier to go to just the faction they are looking for, find their vehicle in that faction, and then spawn it without a crew by using this. Of course, remember to untick these things, or you're just gonna get some trouble later on. So coming back to the units menu, this is the units menu. I can place blue 4, I can place op 4, I can place independents, I can place civilian here, which I cannot place in the groups menu that we will get to in a bit, because civilians don't get in groups. So I can spawn them through here. I can spawn a couple of race drivers for myself, because why not? Or I can spawn a couple of workers that will work in a factory that I'm trying to build my scenario on. And yeah, I can use that menu for that. And lastly, the most important part of this, the empty menu for units. The empty menu for units doesn't include only the empty vehicles or empty things that units are can go in. It also includes all the assets that you can spawn as Zeus that are part of the maps. For example, structures from Altis, city, bungalow. There you go. There's a city bungalow. I spawned a structure and I can go in it and do whatever I want with it. It can spawn signs, helipads. Let's spawn a circle helipad next to that bungalow. There you go. I can spawn in some walls to mess around with. Let's spawn a bar gate for this thing to control. We're starting to have a small kind of roadblock that has a possibility of, let's say, an LZ support. So let's place that thing. Usually you want to place all those things on a straight ground. Place it here. This bungalow is kind of perfect as a guard position, as like a guard house. So let's place it. Oop. Yeah, don't fly in the air, mister. And place it here. And I can spawn even smaller things, like, for example, if I go to FEWZ, it's actually called FEWZ. I have shit tons of stuff here. I can spawn a couple of pallets here. These guys have been offloading some military gear, which we are going to make look random, and such. I can spawn a device, for example, a nuclear device, and just play around with it. Yeah, why not? So yeah, you can pretty much use this empty menu for units to spawn most of the things in the game. And a couple of important things I want to point out in this menu specifically is the supplies. And of course, I would like to point out some of the mines and those stuff, which we will get to in a second, which are in this menu. So, supplies. Under supplies, you got ammo and storage. Ammo basically gives you all the boxes that are pre-made. You can place, for example, since I have Ace, I can place an Ace medical crate. And it's already set up. If we'll open this, it takes just a tiny bit of time to open a box in the first time. So if I open it, I can see it's already packed with all the medical supplies. Of course, if I just want the crate, I can spawn this thing, press clear, and then I have an empty crate, which I can pretty much set up with anything I want, including some weaponry and some mags and stuff like that. And all the other crates, of course, the vanilla crates, the ones that are Apex, some of the stuff will be marked by the mod or expansion on the right, which really helps you know what they're from, so pay attention to that. On the other menu under supplies, we got the storage. Storage will give you all the containers that are carryable by choppers. So you got the urine containers, the ammo container, and the fuel container, which are pretty effective in rearming and refueling vehicles. So if I want, if you actually will go back to base, you'll see that we have them already set up right here, because this is our vehicle area and we want people to be able to use those too. This is just a storage container right here. And of course we got those for CSAT as well, the Taru pods that for some reason just decided to fly around, but the Taru pods of different sorts, which look kind of nice. Oh, I like this fuel one. I haven't actually looked at it too much. It's really nice looking. So yeah, that's the storage and ammo under supplies. Now mines are kind of active stuff that you can place down. Of course, you can place down some mines. As you can see, something tried to pop in right now. I canceled that button, but on default you'll have tips from Zeus that you can open up with the H button, and those tips will give you a lot of good information about what to do with stuff. So that tip that just popped up was trying to tell me that in order to blow up the mine that I just placed, if I want to just blow it up myself instead of a vehicle go on it, I can mark it and press the end key. Well, that was loud. So yeah, you can definitely do that. So we can set up a whole bunch of a minefield. We don't have to do it like this, because the Achilles function actually allows us to place on a whole minefield, which we will get to in a second. So that's this menu. We covered units pretty much. Of course, there's a lot to explore here. You should explore it yourself. You should go into Zeus and try to kind of fiddle with it. You don't need a lot to be in Zeus. If you want to go to a server that runs Zeus, you can do that. If you just want to try it in your single player, you can just open up a map, place a Zeus module that is tied or not tied to a unit, and just start it up and you'll have Zeus. And you can explore all these functions, because not everything that you can see in the editor can be utilized here, even though now these days the Eden editor is much more like Zeus than it used to be. But still, you should explore it in Zeus itself, because it's different. Alright, so that's the units menu. Going on for the groups menu. The groups menu pretty much lays you up a pre-made group of people, and of course I can go into the units menu and set up, for example, a squad leader. Let's set up a rifleman with him. We've got a guy that carries AT as well, and we got another rifleman, and got a rifleman here. And what I can do by just holding control, I can assign them to be in the same group. I can drag this guy and make this guy his commander. And pretty much we got a fire team right here that I made just now. But in the groups menu, we have a lot of pre-made stuff, so we don't have to actually do all that. And we can select which faction we want to place them from. As I said before, civilians do not have groups. You can just make it manually if you want, really. So let's say I want to place a CSAT rifle squad. There you go. A CSAT rifle squad as the game perceives it. Okay. A CSAT sniper team. A Blue 4 Special Forces diver team that will be pretty much eliminated by this CSAT guys. Well, that's a slaughter. So yeah, you can place infantry groups of different kinds. Of course, the normal infantry will include the normal groups, but also the recon elements that you can see here, which if you go to the units, the recon elements will actually be under special forces, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, recon, all the recon people, so don't get confused. Recon stuff will be in the normal infantry groups. You can place mechanized and motorized infantry. Those are infantry that will be tied to a certain vehicle or vehicles. So for example, a mechanized rifle squad will be tied to a neat badger. And pretty much just not to know how to use these kind of things. If I'll tell them to move to a close area, these guys will pretty much just start moving like so, like they are. The badger will try to move slowly sometimes, but they'll try and stay in formation with the badger. Now, if I tell them to move, I don't know, here, then what these guys will do is get in the badger, as you can see they're doing right now. Just mount up and use the vehicle to get there, which is pretty smart. So these kind of elements are good to utilize if you know what you're doing. Of course, vehicle AI in Arma is pretty shitty, which is why this guy, for some reason, has decided not to move right now. I don't know why, but I'll just give him the order again. Let's see if it does anything. Sometimes they don't do shit. Oh, there we go. Now he's going. Thank you. Alright, and all these guys are, of course, inside the vehicle, which you can kind of see when I glitch into it. You can also spawn groups of vehicles. I highly recommend that you don't, because these things are derpy as fucks, especially the tanks trying to move. They kind of bash into each other and everything. If you want to make a convoy, make it manually, and make sure that you have the convoy set up properly. Let me show you how I do it. For example, I want a convoy, an armed convoy accompanying, let's say, trucks. All right, so we got an HMG at the front. We got the Hemet transport covered in here. We can also, if we want, include a group of guys in it. So I can spawn myself an infantry assault squad and just drag it on top of the icon of the truck. Bam. They're inside. They're sitting inside now. And I can spawn another truck, let's say medical supplies, behind that one. And the finale, let's do a GMG guy. That will kind of complete. So we have a nice convoy here. And now what we do, we go to the first vehicle. We'll talk about this menu specifically later. But we click the NATO icon above the vehicle. And we set the formation for the group to be in a column formation. All right, and then we can start attaching them one by one to the leader. So using control, I hold control and I drag from the symbol of this one to this one, symbol of this one to this one, symbol of this one to this one. And there we go. We got a convoy. It will function like this, but you have to set it up properly because, again, vehicle AI can be really shitty. And this orderly movement that they're doing right now is only because I set them up this carefully, and not because they actually know what they're doing. I highly recommend that you train with this because vehicle AI can be fidgety and you don't want it to fuck your mission. I mean, they can have a really hard time navigating into places. I suggest placing their waypoint, giving them just one waypoint and letting them try and get to it on their own. A lot of the times that is best. Of course, sometimes they can do this. As I said, stupid AI. In this kind of scenario, what I do is just try and help them reach where they want to reach. You want to reach this road, dude. Hello. Yeah, there you go. There you go, little fellow. All right, you follow him now. You follow him now. No? There you go. Okay, everything is back to where it should be. All right, so that's groups of vehicles.